Today let's talk about plot in your D&D campaigns, tension and release, promise and deliver, and verbs. In the last video of this series, I discussed a magical sentence for you to remember when trying to come up with ideas for your D&D campaigns and adventures. I plan on doing a whole series of videos for this kind of stuff, so if you're interested in that last video or any other videos in this series, I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description below. Alright, back to D&D. Plot in the context of your campaign is pretty simple. You want to remember tension, promises, and verbs. You want to always present tension to your players, then release that tension. This tension can be social, emotional, or physical. Physical tension typically comes first, making the social and emotional tensions easier to come by. What do I mean by that? Well, physical tension is easy. Imagine your players are walking down the streets of a village. There's no tension there. So a drunkard comes stumbling out of the tavern, makes eye contact with the bard of the group. He says the bard slept with his wife and he swings at him. Roll initiative. That's physical tension. But what about social and emotional? Well, there's already a little bit there, but it quickly escalated to physical tension because, well, that's just fun. But where it gets really fun is when the bard gets downed in one hit and the drunkard is about to make another critical hit on him, possibly ending his life. Now your players are emotional and will do anything to make sure that their bard friend doesn't die. That's tension. And plot is how we get to release that tension, which in this case, the emotional tension is released when the party cleric heals the bard and the loyal fighter cuts the head off of the drunkard. I'm sure you weren't thinking that a simple encounter like this is plot, but it is. Every part of your campaign should contain tension, then a release of that tension. How can you take this simple example at a nano scale and scale it up to something as big as a whole city? Can you make this kind of tension and release pattern take place as your characters face the dangers in the world that you put before them? I'll let you come up with that. A player's experience in the game is determined by what you are promising them through their gameplay. Let's continue the example from before, where the drunk man accused the bard of sleeping with his wife. If the bard did indeed hook up with someone the night before, then his whole encounter promises your players there will be consequences for their actions. You have to deliver on that promise for the rest of the game. Later in the game, your players may start shifting their strategy to alter the world around them under the impression that you're going to react to it in a way similar to how you did in the past. This is where taking notes and really making sure you're paying attention to the player's actions becomes very important. Another way to think about promises is to give your players motivation. When the drunk man confronted the bard, the type of vocabulary this NPC used would propose to the players how they should react. Just remember to be mindful of what you might be promising your players through your interactions with them, and to always over-deliver on that promise. Lastly, let's talk about verbs. More importantly, strong verbs. When you're trying to present plot to your players, you need to make it clear what they're supposed to do in order to follow the plot. Let's say your players are looking at the local job board in the town they are in. A listing on the board says, reward for information leading to the arrest of one responsible for defacing the water tower. See Marshall at the Fat Goblin Inn for more information. That last part is an example of a good verb, but if your players go to speak to Marshall and he just says to investigate the water tower, that's bad. Go investigate is so broad and your players won't get as excited about that. Marshall should maybe say that there was an eyewitness that they can go talk to, or show them a piece of evidence that's already been found before. Maybe Marshall is already suspect of someone and wants the players to follow this suspect around for a few days. These are good verbs and a great way to start an adventure. Alright, well I hope that was helpful. As always, if you found this video helpful, let me know by liking the video and tell me what you liked in the comments.